Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with the FIA Manufacturers race at Sainte-Croix B layout. Now this was in the Group 4 cars. I managed to finally get a solid qualifying in after the first slot of the day where we got a pretty good lap. We actually beat the lap we did in this, mainly because TR Lighton was slipstreaming everyone, was providing slipstream to pretty much the whole field. And I managed to get a very solid lap and started about P5. We had an unfortunate incident when Spider's tyres in the Lamborghini started to fade, braked really early. We tapped him in the rear and I had to wait for him because I felt like I had to. I knocked him quite deep into the corner, he'd hit the wall. So we waited for him and that was race 1 over with. The other races went a little bit bad. We had to change our TV during the stream. That is why if you look on the bottom right corner, you can see that the camera is very high above because I had to put my 42-inch TV into the stream setup, which was a bit weird to get used to, but finally on the last race of the day managed to get a good qualifying in, getting used to it. You saw that starting from P2, so this race was looking like a very good opportunity to take home a possible win because we're starting in P2. The car in P1 is pretty terrible on fuel, so I predicted he would go aggressive and just use his fuel, try and build up a gap and then pit and refuel up and try and come back through the field. So that was my guess as what might happen in this race. You can see he's also probably going to be on the soft tyres and going to push aggressively right from the start, possibly on a 2-stopper. I don't know if he was on a 2 or 1-stopper, but I'm starting on the hard tyres because I had worked out that on the McLaren, with the McLaren, you could do 3 laps on the hard and 6 on the softs and still have reasonably good pace at the end. And it seemed like a very strong way to do this race, or do 4 laps on the hard and then do 5 laps on the softer tyre. Either way, it was very competitive doing it that way, and I felt I could get a good result. So you can see straight away finding it very hard to stay in the slipstream, but we've got a little bit of a tow from P1 all the way through here up to this point, and then going through this right hand corner, you're going to see it's going to be pretty hard to maintain that slipstream. And we actually got a hit from behind from Bell in there. I think he just not judging the tyre difference between the hard and the soft, etc., and a little nudge there into the braking zone, which was a little bit frustrating, but I wasn't going to fight this. You can see no point me battling with Bellin at this point because he's on the softer tyre. I'm just going to let him go up on the inside there and then tuck into his slipstream because that's more advantage to me because he's on the softer tyre. That will give me more speed while I'm on the harder tyre, and this is something that you need to try and do when you're in these type of races. Use your racecraft to get the most out of the tyre you're on. As you see there, Spider cleverly giving us a little bump draft down this straight because there's no point in pulling out of the slipstream and then not being able to overtake, so it just gives us that little bump draft and sits in the slipstream and gets me a little bit closer to P2. So you can see at the moment, this first lap, the pace has been okay considering we're on the hard tyre. Obviously P1 pulling out that lead on them softer tyres, but the soft tyre is so much more grippy and faster than the hard tyre. You do have quite a big difference, so it's pretty much impossible to stay with a soft runner when you're on the hard tyres, but you can do your best. Like we're doing right now, you can see staying with Bellin through here. This is all about a flat out section. This is where you lose a bit of speed on the harder compound tyre. The really fast flowing corners where you really need that front end grip to bite the car in. However, just about still staying, you can see 1 second back, and this is what I'm talking about, the slipstream being a little bit too strong. At this point, you should not be picking up a slipstream in my personal opinion. I think it should be, once you pass the 1 second or 8 tenths to 1 second mark, I think the slipstream should be gone and you shouldn't really be getting any benefit from it. But on GT Sport, you still pick that up all the way up to 1.5 seconds and it doesn't really lose its strength. It still seems very strong, the draft that you get from the car in front at 1.5 seconds. So that's something that I hope they do sort out in the future, as we've got Spider behind. Not sure what tyres Spider is currently on at the moment. It's possible he was on the hard tyres or the medium and then going for a hard stint at the end. I really don't know what tyres he was on because he didn't seem to have the cornering speed, which makes me think he definitely wasn't on the soft tyres. Very likely either on the medium or the hard tyres, similar to myself, because you can see through here not gaining a massive amount. The Lamborghini was obviously very strong round here over 1 lap, so it makes me think that he was possibly on the hard tyres doing a similar strategy to me, but probably going to extend the hard tyre stint a lot further into this race, probably to lap 5 and then try and do 4 laps on the soft tyre. Maybe that was his aim for this race. I'm really not sure. As we now come through to the very tricky left hand corner off camber, you miss this slightly and you'll just go straight into the barrier on the right side. And now we're approaching the long straight. Now obviously at this point we've got no slipstream. You can see the leader 4 seconds ahead, but this is all okay. This at the moment was going very well for me because Once we can pit on lap 3 and put soft tyres on, their tyres are going to be fading. We'll get a massive undercut. We'll probably come out either level or ahead of them after the pit stop phase, and then they'll be on the hard tyres. And we're going to probably be in a very good position to get the win in this race, the way this race was looking at the moment. However, Spider's going up the right hand side. I'm going to let him go. You see, no point battling that. We're just going to tuck him behind and then use his slipstream through the really fast flowing corners. However, look in the mirror, and we have just been torpedoed and sent to the Shadow Realm. Luckily, managed to stop it rotating all the way around there with some opposite lock, but you can see I was absolutely fuming. I was not very happy. Some colourful language coming out on the stream. Was pretty annoyed. However, we have to say that Aguilar, I think that's pronounced right, I'm not too sure, Aguilar, he did apologise. He owned up to his mistake. He's apologised to me on PlayStation as well as in the stream. He apologised, so it was all good. But while we were in the race, I was quite annoyed. Let's have a little look at that incident. You can see he came from so far back, it was pretty much impossible to see because he braked. I think he got his braking markers confused. He seemed to brake on the 100 instead of the 150. And once that happens, you can see completely sent off the track at quite a hard rate. You can see nothing I could really do at that situation. If we turn it around and look back at us from ourselves, you'll see just how far back he comes from. So going into the braking zone again, you can see I'm not going to fight Spider because, like I say, there was no point. We're just going to, I'd rather work together than lose in overall pace while we're on these hard tyres. But look how far this comes back. It's a mistake. You can see his car locking up, almost sliding. He's trying to avoid it. It was a mistake, so no hard feelings involved with that. It's just a mistake that can happen to anyone, obviously. But now we're in a pretty bad situation now, down into P15 in this race. And we luckily got the hard tyre on, so we've got that out of the way. You can see some people pitting for the soft tyre from the soft tyre after 2 laps. That is absolutely crazy. Whether they've just put the soft tyre on, I'm not sure, but we'll skip ahead to the start of lap 4. You can see managed to stay out on the hard tyres. We're now up into P9. Obviously people have pitted for their tyres and they've got fresher tyres on now, and it looks like P13 there. I don't know if he just came out of the pits or whether he's possibly onto the fresh set of hard tyres. I'm not sure now. We're behind Force in front of us. You can see there, just about outside the slipstream range, not really picking up at this point. Just trying to maintain something out of this race, trying to recover something from this race. It's obviously final race of the day, so no opportunity to race again after this race, and we've just got to see what we can do. We're in P9. It's going to be an effort to get anywhere because obviously we've got cars that have already pitted behind us, so we're going to go back down the grid order once we do our pit stop. So it's going to be a big effort to get any sort of result out, but for a lap or so it took me a while to get back into the rhythm, obviously after being hit out. Now we're starting to concentrate a bit and trying to get back into a routine and just seeing if we can recover something from this race. Now the temptation is always there to rage quit when something like that happens, but with this being the last race of the day and I knew that my pace was very good, I knew that I think I had the potential to get the win out of this race. It would have been very close. However, now all we've got to do is just try and recover something. You can see down into P11, we're obviously getting overtaken by people that have pitted, but there are some cars that will be on 2-stop strategies. So we lost at least 7 seconds with that incident, as you can tell by the delta on the right hand side. We lost quite a big chunk of time as we're going to go for a move here. We had the slipstream from tucking back into the slipstream Mercedes, trying to go up the inside, but you can see the extra grip that he's got on them tyres. He's going to be able to hold the outside, but give him the space needed there. And then we're going to turn in here, a little bit of contact there. I think I was trying to cover off the Ferrari that was behind us there, make sure that he couldn't just get past and tuck into the slipstream with the Mercedes. So that's covered, and now we're going to possibly go for a pit stop. We're on lap 4. I can get 5 laps out of the soft tyres, so I thought, you know what, let's get in them pits and let's go for the soft tyre and try and get some sort of undercut on some drivers and try and get some speed back in and try and make some positions up. So we're going to go in the pits and we're going to obviously lose more positions here as we put on them soft tyres. Fuel looking okay, you can see on 54%, not too bad. Didn't really need too much fuel saving McLaren. You just have to short shift every now and then when you're in the slipstream, just to try and make sure that you've got to the end. Some cars were able to go flat, some cars weren't able to go flat. They had to do a bit more fuel saving, but the McLaren was fairly solid because, like I say, with the McLaren you don't actually need to, you don't lose too much time when you short shift this car. However, coming up, as you see, after our first out lap here, behind Tectonic now, the actual real life driver, Jan Moldenborough I think it is, in the Super GTs there. We're coming up behind now on the soft tyres. He had a bit of a nightmare in qualifying. I think he didn't really enjoy this round. Didn't have the best of luck, to be honest. I think his pace was okay. I just think he didn't get it together in qualifying, a bit like most of our night throughout the 5 races. However, in this final race, we obviously got that qualifying sorted, and now going to go for a move around the outside of the Mercedes. He's on very worn tyres. I'm on the fresh softs. He's not going to fight that. He just tucks back into the slipstream, lets me go there. Clever racing there, using racecraft, sticking into the slipstream, getting some speed out of them worn tyres. So there's no point fighting in situations like that because it's not going to benefit anyone. So now trying to push forward and seeing if we can gain any sort of speed and places back from this race. Obviously, you can see the McLaren, actually really strong car around this track, I have to say. It wasn't probably the strongest. I think it was a top 5 car, definitely. I think the NSX, the Megane for race conditions, not necessarily qualifying. Lamborghini was better in qualifying, but not necessarily in the race. I think the McLaren was much stronger in race conditions than the Lamborghini, obviously, as we now get into the braking zone. And you can see we've now got up to the slipstream of WDP, so this is looking quite good because I think our tyre wear will be better than the Mercedes. He's unfortunately, though, at the moment he's getting the slipstream off a Force in the Corvette. Again, Force going for Corvette this season. It looks like that's the car that Force is going to be using for the official season, because he was starting to use that a couple of months ago. So my prediction is Force will be driving for Corvette when it comes to the official season, as we now using that slipstream all the way down into the braking zone. You can see the extra speed that you're getting, going a lot faster now. We just make sure we brake nice and early, don't be pushing it too hard. We still got to do a bit of tyre management, making sure we don't take too much life out of these tyres. We want to have some tyres left at the end of the race. So skipping forward about half a lap now behind WDP, and you can see we've managed to get a lot closer now to that slipstream. We're in a position where we can start making moves, but we've also got to defend from P12. But look at this train of cars that we're in. You can see that I think this P5 is not too far in the distance. You can see right up there, P5 is very close. So there is an opportunity here to pick up some solid points. I think it's actually, might even be P4 that's right up the top there. But this really does show you how much time that had lost me with that hit on lap 2. And where we could have been in this race. I think we would have been definitely in a position to fight for the lead in this race, because I think P1 might have had to do 2 stops, doing two runs on the softs and then going onto the hard tyre at the end, as we now have a little 4x4 into this corner. It's never going to work that. We stay to the left. WDP misses his braking a bit, nudges into my side, and then that causes a knock-on effect with Gran Turismo physics and the pinball effect. I think WDP needed to brake just a fraction earlier there, but obviously with the angle that he was in, was not able to rotate the car with braking that late. So we lose out quite massively there. From the opportunity to get into P8, we're back down to P11. So quite a frustrating situation. We've only got 2 more laps now to make up any progress in this race, but we're not going to give up. We're going to keep battling. Some other cars are going to need to pit still, as you're going to see now. Getting a really nice exit off the corner there. Going to fly past that Jaguar, no issue there. And a few cars straight into the pits. They've got to use their hard tyre allocation, so they're out of this race. They're not going to be able to compete now. Obviously, we're already on the soft tyres. We've got 2 laps to go. The tyres looks quite bad on tyre wear, but the grip is still pretty strong with the McLaren at this stage. As we go through the really fast right-hand corner there, turn 1, working our way into the another quite a tricky left-hand corner, this, with the off-camber nature of this corner. It's very similar to the corner by the end of the bridge, where if you miss the apex slightly, you can run wide very easily. You can see how it's off-cambered with the slope. It actually hit the curb there, nearly sent the rear sideways a bit, but got away with that, sticking in the slipstream, and now we're trying to push aggressively because we can see P5. I was thinking, you know, if we can get a P5 out of this race, it would be absolutely amazing. As P7 makes a little bit of a mistake there, and we have to back off a little bit. So P7 was the driver that was behind me before all that chaos into the 4 wide corner. Unfortunately, I think we would have been ahead of him. I think I would have been able to be right behind Joni and probably been able to go for a move a little bit easier in WDP, purely because I think WDP's tyres were starting to fade at this stage in that Mercedes. Obviously the front tyres in that car not quite as good as the front tyres on the McLaren. As we now come through to the slipstreaming stage of the track again, this is the most obvious place you're going to get an overtake done with the power of the slipstream going down here. Will WDP be able to go for a move into the braking, or will he choose just to sit in the slipstream? This will be interesting now. down the straight. What happens here, he should be able to go for a move with the power of that Mercedes and how fast it is in a slipstream. As we're going through into the braking zone, he's going to try and go around the outside of Joni. This will be interesting. 3 cars wide, all contact going off there. We're going to have to defend as well from force behind us to make sure that he can't go for a move into that corner, trying to get on the throttle nice, and then he actually get a little bit of a bump draft off force there. I think he's no point, he's going to try and battle us through here. So we're right behind this now. At this point I was getting ultra aggressive. I was looking for a move anywhere on the track. I was going to try it, even if there was an opportunity there. I was in the frame of mind of just thinking, do you know what, there's nothing to lose after what happened at the start. We'll just try anything and everything to get these moves done as we come through to the final corner. Now you can see that Joni was starting to have a little bit of a lag issue. You can see his car lagging all over the track, and that is really off-putting when you're near a car like that, because you just don't know where that car is going to be on the track as we go through to turn 1. And there's going to be a little incident here. I think it's mainly caused by the lag. You'll see Joni gets another lag spike going through the corner, goes left then right, and then he's sliding. So obviously the lag has caused contact with another car. He is out. No one's fault other than the connection, really. No one was really driving erratic. As we're going to try and go around the outside of WDP here, try and hold it to the right hand side, brake as late as possible and try and hold it round the outside. This is an extremely hard move to make, and absolutely nailed that move. Really enjoyed that overtake all the way around the outside, got on the power nice and early, used the traction of the McLaren, and we're now up into P6 in this race. So this really is, again, emphasising what the potential was with the McLaren, and I really think I started to get into the rhythm of this track and starting to enjoy it a bit more as the night went on. And obviously I'm glad we obviously did this round and pushed it, because now I feel like this track should be a little bit stronger for me when we come to having to race this again in another season, whatever car that would be in, as we're now in P6 behind P5. You can see P5 is the car that was actually behind us before that chaos when we were 4 wide, so there was obviously an opportunity to be in the top 5, even though we got wiped out at the start of the race. Was down into P15, so recovering to P6 at the moment. If we can keep this position, it's not a bad recovery. It's still not the points I would have wanted from Group 4. McLaren is in Group 4. McLaren is where I wanted to pick the points up for, obviously, Group 4 races, because this is a solid car in Group 4. I've said it many a time, I think it's one of the better race cars out of the Group 4 cars. It might not have the ultimate one that pace, but it's really good in the races. We now get into the braking zone, trying to hit the apex and just seeing if we can get close. But you can see that Mercedes, I think, has got fresher tyres on than what I've got at the moment, and he's obviously going to be able to, with the power of that Mercedes as well, it looks like he's going to come home in P5. Looking back, you can see we've managed to build up a bit of a gap to the drivers behind. Not sure what tyres they were on, how old they were, but P6 is looking pretty comfortable. Fuel's looking okay. We're just going to have to do a little bit of a short shift down the straight, but that, like I said, in the McLaren, very easy, and you don't really lose too much pace. So through the final corner, recovering from P15 up to P6 after starting the race in P2. So a bit of an up and down race. Reasonably happy at the end, but still really disappointed with what happened. But again, Aguilar apologised, so it's all forgotten. It wasn't deliberate. He tried to avoid the action of hitting us. He couldn't really go anywhere. He had nowhere to go, so nothing he could really do in that situation. He made the mistake. Everyone makes mistakes, and we pick up 269 points. Nothing spectacular. A little bit disappointed. Like I say, we really did want to get 300 points minimum at this round, but it is what it is, and we'll move on to another round. So hope you enjoyed that video. Make sure you hit the like button, and if you want to see more of these videos and streams, make sure you subscribe to the channel on screen at the moment. Thanks again, everyone.